Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates with Scott Kerschner and Dave Ross. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. The website is arhq.com. Next time someone cuts you off in traffic, blame their parents. A recent poll found people who don't follow the rules of the road, they're more likely to have parents who don't either. The top bad driving habit that we inherit is speeding. On the other hand, the top good habit that gets passed down is always using turn signals. I know people who are very guilty of not doing that. Did you pick up any good financial habits from your parents? And how about the habits that taught you what not to do?
Oh man, oh man, oh man. So I did inherit some driving habits from my dad specifically, and my dad's one phrase. And I remember when Dad passed, he was 85. Okay, but when I was driving, he was a long time ago. One of the things he would always say is he would refer to what he thought was a bad driver as a dumb bunny. And it was always like that dumb bunny, and because he never really ever swore or anything like that, but that was his way of yelling at that person that he didn't particularly care for their driving. When I read this topic, I'm like, oh no, my kids are learning some of these driving habits from me, and I don't know that that's the best thing either. But I know when we were on a break, Dave and Travis were talking about somebody driving in a baseball game. And I remember my mom had a minivan, and she was taking my daughter to softball practice. And my son was in the car, and it was at City Park in Perrysburg. And she couldn't turn around, so she drove right down the sidewalk. And my kids still remember that still to this day. But so those were driving habits, or probably aren't the best thing. But when I look at this topic, I remember some specific things that my parents mentioned to me and even to my kids. One of them, my mom told my son, "Stay away from girls; they're expensive." And he's realizing that right now. But one of the big things is give every dollar a job. So the good thing is to make sure that every dollar that you have is actually working for you. That's something that I hear from Nolan a lot is you want to make sure that you have your dollars working for you when you wake up in the morning. Your dollars are already hard at work. So that's one thing. Make saving an easy habit. Take that extra money and put that aside. One of the things that I remember my mom would always say is take 50% of your paycheck and put it in a savings account. I remember back in the day. Remember Christmas clubs? Mm-hmm. When you used to create these Christmas clubs. Chris, I don't even know if you know what those are. You may. I don't want to.
I can't say that I do.
Okay, well, back in the day, they used to have what was called Christmas clubs, where you could actually set up an account, and it was nothing more than a savings account, but they titled it Christmas, so it made you feel better about saving. And then, and in November, you pull all that money out and you go do your Christmas shopping with that.
Okay.
So, it's creating these accounts and making savings an easy habit, which was something that did, every day. Here's a big one. Learn investing basics. I can honestly say, I'm fortunate that my son works here with us because he's learning a lot about this without me having to actually tell him this. But I don't ever remember my parents talking to me at all about investment basics or what kind of plans. I remember actually telling my dad when he was at Chrysler, they first came out with these 401k investment plans, and I was in banking at the time, and I said, "Dad, absolutely, you want to do that. Put money aside." And it's a good thing that he did because it's now paying off and helping Mom. These are some of the things that I remember and some of the things that I wanted to point out. Dave, give us some of yours.
Warren Buffett. I know he gets quoted a lot, but one of his most famous quotes is, "Spend the money that's left after you've put funds away on your savings. In other words, the way I would describe it is pay yourself first. You get a paycheck, you put a percentage of it into a savings device or an investment device, and then you spend what's left if you need to spend it all, which most people do not. But you know what? With young kids, and I've spent a lot of time teaching financial literacy in school systems, and I don't think it's too early for kids to ever start saving money. And the thing I'm finding, especially as I work through with high school age kids, a lot of those kids have jobs.
Sure.
So you know what? They should be putting some money in that 5% Charles Schwab account. Mm-hmm. And then you know what? At the end of the year, if they have a couple $1,000s in that account, maybe they take 250 of it and put it in their Roth IRA. Because you know what? If you think about starting to be an investor at the age of 16, 17 years old.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't matter how much you're saving. It's going to be a bonanza for you because you get into the habit of doing it. And, you know, my parents didn't tell me a lot about finance, and I learned a lot about the financial world when my father passed away at a young age, and I had to help my mother. When I was in college, I had to help her, and so I was forced to learn about this kind of stuff at a pretty young age, and it kind of steered me in the direction of financial services. But this is all very important for kids and for people to just earmark a percentage of what they make. You know what? Think about it, Scott. If you had put 10 cents of every dollar that you ever earned into an investment, how much money would you have?
Oh, yeah. A lot more than I do.
10
I
cents.
can tell you that, yeah. You know, one thing I'll add to this, you know, I see Troy is, he's investing, and I'm glad for that. But one of the things he showed me here not too long ago was he's got an app on his phone that he automatically will round up and take all of that money that he's got, rounds up into an account. And I asked him the other day, I said, son, you know, how long have you been doing this? He said, well, I've been doing it, you know, all of last year. I said, wow, that's pretty good. I says, how much money you got in? And he had like $750 in there in a little over a year. You know, so there are a lot of different ways to be savvy on that kind of stuff. And, you know, I think it's important that we pass that information on to our kids and even other young people out there. If we can be an influence to them and help them with their investments, I think that's very, very important.
There is something that kind of indirectly that I have taught my son, and it is he's 8, by the way. It is taxes, specifically the dad tax. You know, when you make you go pick up food for him, or you make him a sandwich. You know, all those fries that are on your plate, they're not all yours. You got to pay the dad tax. You got to get some of that, right. Some of those chips. He doesn't necessarily understand that one, but this is one that I think has landed with him, and it is not just financial advice. It is advice in general. Whenever he is curious about something and he asks me a question, I've mentioned this before, I've learned the importance of being able to say, I don't know, but let's find out together. So here's the thing. You may not necessarily know when to claim Social Security or what your risk tolerance is or how you're going to take on the taxes that are going to come down the line in the next couple of years, let alone, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. And that is okay. Just know where to turn. Might I suggest the team at America's Retirement Headquarters, Nolan Baker, Scott Kerschner, Dave Ross, Troy, the whole group there. You can find out more about them at arhq.com. You can schedule a time to speak with them as well, or you can give a call, set up a time, and start putting a plan in place. Start answering those questions you may not know the answer to. 419-794-3030. Once again, that's 419-794-3030. Want to thank you, as we always do, for joining us here on the show, spending some time with us here on America's Retirement Headquarters. Hope you have a great week ahead of you. Hope you stay safe out there. Gentlemen, always appreciate the time. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with the final word.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. And Dave, thank you for joining me today. One thing I want to wrap up with is if you are turning 65, you have the opportunity to sign up for Medicare. all of the Medicare enrollment periods have ended. The last one was ended on the 31st. So we are right now helping people turning 65. So if you need anything with Medicare, think of America's Medicare Associates. If you need any other help with investments or estate planning or anything else we might be able to help you with, think of America's Retirement Headquarters. And once again, thank you all for listening. Join us every Saturday at Toledo's #1 talk radio show, WSPD.